Hi everyone, Peter Liciaga here, your Mount Laurel martial arts guy, and I thought I'd come live and share some thoughts on on parenting and pushing your child, and how do you know if you're pushing your child too hard. And I'm a master instructor of Donato Karate Center, and of course, if you want to find out about the program that we have at Donato Karate Center, go to donatokarate.com. And I've been there for almost 20 years now as a teacher, but I'm also a parent, and this is I want to speak from that position as a parent, and I can't avoid being a teacher. I am a martial arts instructor. I've been doing it for 48 years, and as far as martial arts, I've been teaching almost 20 years. But I'm a parent, and I first became a parent 38 years ago, and I failed horribly, and I had a second chance to start a family. That's with my wife Renee, and we are going to celebrate 33 years of marriage. And we have an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old. And my second time around, I took the lessons that I learned the first time I failed, and I brought them, and I learned from that. And proud to say I'm a much better parent, better husband, and just simply a better person. And I want to speak to parents out there. Yesterday, I was with a new parent who brought their children into our school, and young children, and they did great. The kids were great. And I went over to the parent, and I saw the parent was leaning forward, and they had this intense look on their face. And I said, "Hey, your kids are doing great. Their first time in class." And they were just shaking their head, and they started talking about the things they weren't doing right and everything like that. And I said, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this parent is really hard on their child, and the child's doing something for the first time, and they're not seeing just the fact that the child was on the floor doing their best and trying to navigate this new experience, and they had courage, and they had all this awesome stuff going on, but the parent was really seeing past all that and was really looking at the flaws in their child. And I was thinking, my goodness, parents going too hard. So I came up with this question, and right away went to my notes, wrote down, I got to help parents ask this question of themselves. How do I know if I'm too hard on my child or pushing my child too hard? And so I had 10 things that I have, but I'm just going to share my top 7 with you. Okay, there are 10 signs that you can look at, but I want to share 7 of them with you. And the first one, for me, that I want to bring to your attention was, number one is that you're constantly fighting with your child, arguing with your child, having, headbutts with your child. Now, of course, all of us parents, there are times we just, we get fed up when our child becomes confrontational. When you say when you tell them to do one thing, they do the other thing, and often in these conflicts, it could be because we're just too hard on them, and they put up a strong, hard position to stand up against us because they always feel like they're always being put down. They have to always defend themselves, and maybe it's because we're just hard on them all the time. So that's a good sign. Good sign if you find yourself in constant confrontation with your child, and they're constantly, standing up to you and saying no and being confrontational with you. It could be, I'm not saying it is. It could be because you're always hard on them, so hard on them that they got to feel like they have to always be on the defense with you. And so that's my one thing and I look at parents at times, or even in my own personal experience with my own children. When I say something to them, they come back at me with, a rebuttal or a confrontation. It's almost like they want to pick an argument. I'm saying to myself, my gosh, let me pull back on this, because obviously something's going on in my child's heart or their mind that they're getting confrontational. So instead of me going on the attack, because it seems like they may be on the defense, maybe even on the attack, I'll pull back, and I try to really try to go deeper within myself, trying to see if I can seek first to understand what's going on. So a sign that maybe you're being too hard on your child is maybe too confrontation, too many headbutts. So you need to pull back a bit and check your state. Again, it goes back to this idea that we teach our kids about self-defense. the ABCs of self-defense. A. I always go back to the A. A, it has to do with awareness, assessment, and action. So you need to be self-aware of your state, your mental state, and your emotional state, and then assess that. Think about how you're feeling and what you're thinking. And then from that position of knowledge and intelligence, you move forward with the right and appropriate action and words to say in that moment. Do not escalate the situation. That's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to get into a battle with your child. No one wins in that. And again, as parents, we want to raise up our children the way they should go. How do they deal with someone that's confrontational? Let's lead the way on that. Let's model that. Be aware of your mental state and your emotional state, and then assess it, and then from that position of intelligence, move forward with the right appropriate action or words. And number two, again, the question is this: how do you know if you're being too hard or you're pushing a child too hard? Number two is you never have anything positive to say about them. And this one parent had really, I could see in their full physical state, that, they cared about their child, and you see the care in their face. They cared about their child, but they had nothing but negative things to say about their child. Their child was in this incredible experience. I'm talking about this parent that, watching their child in our program, teaching. I'm talking about being a martial arts instructor. I'm on the floor teaching a child, and the child is in our Little Champions program, young, 3.5 years old, 4 years old, and the parent was really talking about they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that, they don't listen, they don't pay attention, they're all over the place. They had nothing positive to say. And I'm sharing with the parent, they're doing this great, they were paying attention, they're here. My goodness, they got on the floor and they're actually putting themselves in a position where they're learning new things and they're listening. Okay, yeah, they're very excited about what's going on. This is the first time in class, but the parent didn't have anything positive to say. So you want to really work hard to really dig and find those positive things about your child. What are they doing right? What are they saying right? And look for that. And you really have to make it your purpose to find what's positive about what your child's doing. There's a lot there. Your child's doing a lot of things that's pretty awesome, that's pretty incredible. And we have to really be aware of ourselves, not to focus on the things they're not doing right. And it's so easy to do that. It's like, if I have, the deal. If you have a white shirt on, you have that one little spot. We don't see the white shirt. We see that one little spot. Same thing with our children. And our children are going to make mistakes. They're going to mess up, and that's just their nature. They're learning, they're growing, just like us. We're not perfect. We'll make mistakes, we'll mess up. There's going to be blemishes on us, and we have to get out of the habit of always looking for those imperfections of our children. Okay, so really look for the positive things to say. That's a sign. When you're always thinking negative about your child, it's a sign that you might be pushing a little too hard on your child. Another one, number 3, is that you're nagging all the time. You're always picking all the time. You have nothing negative to say, and then you're always, trying to fix your child. I'm saying this, well, you don't do this right, you don't do this right, or you don't do that right. You pick this up, pick that up. Oh, you're always throwing your toys all over the place, or you never listen to me. You're never eating your food. You always do this. You always do. Why don't you put your dishes in there? We're nagging all the time, and I see this in parents. And I'm watching, and I'm speaking from a teacher. Okay, as a teacher right now, I help a child on the floor and teaching them, whatever I'm teaching in that class, and they're doing their best, and I'm doing my best to coach them along, and then they do great. They get through the class, and I get that high five, and they finish. And I say, hey, my goodness, you did it. Awesome. Congratulations. And then they bow out, and they go to the parents, and the parents right away start, well, you should have done this, should have done that, get you this. As opposed to just giving them a high five, saying, my goodness, you did it. You had a great class. I'm so proud of you. Especially those children. When children come in sometimes at the end of their day, they have all day in school, and they're working, doing their best in school, listening, following directions, sitting down, whatever. They get up early. They have a day. They have a day, similar to us. They get up in the time they're supposed to get up. They do the best that they can to prepare for their day. They go to work, their school, and they work as best as possible, like we do. And then they come to the end of their day, and then we bring them to martial arts, or we bring them to an activity that challenges them to, in spite of the fact that they're tired, to still rise above that. And they do. They get through it. And the child says, I'm tired. I said, well, hey, I'm just happy to be here. And I try to keep them encouraged to help them and coach them through it. And then afterwards, they go to the parents, and the parent right away starts nagging on them. Oh, you were so lazy. You were slow, and this and that. Meanwhile, we don't congratulate them. Hey, man, you got through it. You did it. My goodness, I could tell you were tired. I could tell you really in a way didn't want to be there, but you did it. Give me a high five. I'm so proud of you. That's an opportunity to really encourage them. And how do you know you're pushing your kid too hard and it's getting maybe a little bit destructive or maybe going to work against you? Is that if you find yourself nagging all the time. Okay, next thing here, number 4, is that you don't brag about achievements, about their achievements. If you find yourself always talking about how they didn't do this, how they didn't do that, and you go home and you share that with your spouse, or you meet with your friends, just complain about what your kids don't do, you might be pushing your kid too hard. You're not stopping and just celebrating their great achievements. Whatever their achievements are, share that. And the other day I spoke about, finding several things, at least 2 things to brag about or to share that you're proud of, and then maybe one thing that you can help by bringing their attention to, maybe, I don't want to say a critique, but something that you can say, hey, look, you did great here, you did great there, I'm so proud of you. But hey, look, if you did a little bit more here, you maybe go a little bit higher there, but I'm so proud of what you're doing here. We got to really look at bragging about our children, just really praising them, in public, and let them hear you praise them. And, 1 or 2 things, a couple of things. Get away from this always complaining and sharing what your child did not do right, or that did something wrong. And don't do that. Stop doing that. We got to be aware of that. And I'll see that. I hear that all the time. I'll go to stores, shopping centers, and I'll listen to a mom who meets a friend, and they have their child with them, and they start talking to the friend, and then the subject of kids come up, and then while the kid's right there, they'll start talking about, oh yeah, they're not listening at school and their grades, and I see the kids just getting very their self-esteem going down, while the parent is complaining about the child, what the child is doing, as opposed to, hey, look, I'm proud of my child, they're doing great in school, and they're doing this and doing that, and that helps build up a child. So make sure you do that, okay? Make sure you do it. Number 5 is you really highlight their good behavior. Again, it ties into number 4. Always highlighting their good behavior, letting them know that you see something that's great that they're doing, and you highlight it, you praise them, you pat them on the back, you let them know how proud you are of them because they made that powerful choice. So it's important that we do that. So let's look for those moments. Very, very important. And also number 6 is that you can't wait to share. Again, it's tying into this, going out and not praising our children, not looking for that great behavior. But there's that sense inside of you, oh man, you can't wait to go home and tell your spouse, your husband or your wife about, how naughty, let me tell you how bad our child was today, and you can't wait to share that. If you have that mindset, then you got to shift that mindset. That might be a sign that you're just simply too hard and pushing your child too hard, where you're going to put them on the defense, where they're always going to be standing up against you because they got to feel like they got to defend their position of value, that they have value, but you're always putting them down, and you can't wait to tell someone else how naughty they was. Through their whole day, they did these several things that were not right. You could not wait to tell your husband or your wife or your mom or your neighbor about how naughty they were. You got to stop that. We've got to stop doing that. We've got to recognize, in the course of our child's day, there are so many things and so many choices that they made that were right. So we've got to have that mindset. We have to be aware of that, assess it, and then move in the action that lifts our child up, that lifts their value up, recognizes the successes, and don't have that mindset that when they do something bad to get out there and can't wait to complain about your child. That's a sure sign that you're pushing too hard pushing your child too hard, so hard that they're going to stand up and put a defense and always fight you along the way. And I'll see that in our students. Of course, as an instructor at Donato Karate Center, been doing it for over 20 years, almost 20 years. But I know that if I see a child do something wrong and I'm continually being on them, saying, you got to do this, you got to do that, I can see them put up a defense. Because what they're simply defending is the fact that they have value, that they're worth something, that, that their mistake does not define their whole being. And, they may not be processing that, not as far as thinking in that way, but that's the sense of it, and they're standing up for themselves and putting on a defense. So I have to make sure that I'm very careful of that as an instructor, but as parents, definitely, as a parent, I need to make sure I'm careful of it. So the last thing I want to share with you guys, out of the 10 things that I was thinking of, but there were 7 that I pulled out, is that we get this sense that that we look at other children and we see other kids doing the right thing. Hey, everyone else's kid is doing great, for the most part, and then we feel sorry for ourselves. Oh my gosh, my kid doesn't do that. My kid's not doing that. My kid's not getting all A's, and the other kids are behaving better than my kid. And I'll see some parents look on the floor when I'm teaching a class, and they're intently looking at their child, and they're looking at the other kids, and they're saying, and I've had parents come to us, I want my child to be more like that. And it's great to have role models and have other kids that you can highlight for your child. Say, look how little Tommy's doing their kicks, and how little Tommy's acting. Isn't that great? But if you keep, saying that, hey, look at that child, and comparing your child to another child, and say, I wish my child could be like that, and you get upset, and then you push your child, nag your child, and get upset at your child, and put your child on the defense, where your child then starts hating everyone else because everyone else is better than me, and I could never do anything right. That's a mistake. So we as parents need to make sure that we monitor and manage our mental and emotional states, be aware, assess, and then move in a direction that we say and do things that are going to encourage our children. Now, I'm not saying that if your child makes a mistake, sit down and discuss it with them and help them understand the sense of it. Why does this make? How do we make sense of this mistake that you just made, and help them realize who they would like to become. Do you want to be this great kid that does great things and this and that? And more often than not, they're going to say, yeah. They're going to say, yeah, I want to be a great kid. I want to listen, and I want you to be proud of me. And then you help them with that. But we've got to raise up a child in the way they should go, with thought and with love and compassion and empathy. Okay, guys, so that's what I have for you. It's a bit long video, but I thought it was important. It really breaks my heart when I see that I'm being hard on my child, on my children, or my students, and I feel so upset when I recognize that I'm so hard on this child, and as if I need to have them get it right now. And I thought that I just wanted to share that with you. It breaks my heart when I see myself do it and I see other parents do it. Okay, so guys, let's be aware of what we're doing. Let's think about what we're doing, and let's really, in a purposeful way, be positive, inspiring, and encouraging, and raise up our children the way they should go, passing on the knowledge to them, so that as they get older and as they start living life, they start then through their mistakes and their ups and downs of life, that they can fall back on what we poured into them. And they'll think of it being positive, encouraging, and inspiring, and that they can then move forward after they mess up, not be so hard on themselves, but see that as a learning lesson and as part of life. Okay, guys, so I thank you. I appreciate the time. I hope you guys have, pardon me, I hope you guys have a great day. Again, Peter Liciaga, and I work at Donato Karate Center, full-time instructor there. If you want to find out about the work that we're doing there, go to donatokarate.com. Guys, have a great day. If you have any tips or anything like that for other parents, lessons that you've learned, please share. Other than that, guys, I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a great day.